Hey there, tubers and otherwise. Sure, talking the trailer with the old guy. It's Saturday night, I don't know, probably 10-ish or so. And just got off the phone with a good friend of mine, and I had a good conversation with her. I sure enjoy talking with this lady. And it's a little bit like this, you know. Do you feel all alone? Really? Do you feel cut off, like maybe you're the last? There's a deal in, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the book. But Elijah, I'm guessing it's in 1 Kings, but I'm making that part up. Anyway, Elijah is out running, and Ahab and Jezebel about ready to nail him to the wall again. And boy, this guy, he's something else, this Elijah dude. And he kind of despairs in his heart. He kind of just sort of gives up. And says, you know, am I the last prophet left? Am I all alone? And Yahweh says to him, I have 7,000 who have not bended the knee. That's neither here nor there to you. Do your job. They didn't say it that way, but in other words, no, you're not alone. Who do you think you are? Get out of here. He does it because he loves us. And so yeah, I had a great conversation with a wonderful lady and good friend. Anyhow, the thing I wanted to talk about tonight, in the short talk, was I don't know, September 1 this year was just a strange day to me. It came over me all of a sudden about 12:48, I think, as I recall the clock, that I want to go out to the Gila wilderness. I want to get out there and I want to see that beauty again. I got to get away from the steel and the concrete. I just feel, I'm cramped. I got to go. So I drove out there, you know, spent $60 in fuel to get there. Thanks, Biden. And $4 a gallon, really, for unlead? Give me a break. And that's what his economic plan is to ruin the working class. Because, let's face it, he's evil. And the conversation I had tonight is just so encouraging because, you know, so often I think what I think I've conveyed this before otherwise in other vids, where I just feel so lonely. I just feel like, am I the only one out here? Are there other people on the planet currently aware that we're dealing with what shall become essentially a Fourth Reich? In other words, a Nazi, fascist, now we're going to add in communist just to make it better. That's going to work. Amalgam. So you have this cross between Marx and Sanger, essentially. You know, that horrible woman that, she was horrible. They invited her, the Ku Klux Klan invited her back to speak again when she went and visited them. She became the founder of Planned Parenthood. Let's kill the babies. Kill the babies. That sounds like a really bad idea. If you want, say, a next generation. It's like a picture in your mind where, you know, political stupidity, political ineptitude, bureaucratic inefficiency, and the tremendous load of stupid, pointless regulations meant only to slow down and further increase the growth of, slow down progress and further increase the growth of government and its whims and nonsensical non sequiturs that don't make any sense. I hope we got that one. We're in another world, folks. The America that we've got here now, right now, here it is, 1 September 2023. This is not the America I remember. This is not the America. This is not the land of the home of the free and the land of the brave. This is something else, and it's wicked. It's evil. And this young lady and I had this wonderful conversation, and I do enjoy talking to women sometimes because they got a real interesting perspective that, let's face it, I just don't ordinarily see. And we had a great talk. But the thing is that, you know, you want to encourage people. You want to encourage them to say, you know what, you can make a difference. Your voice matters, and all that stuff, right? How many times have you heard that crap? But does anybody believe it? The guys who are selling the book, now that guy believes it, or he says he does. When you're looking at that kind of, you know, what do you call it? Where you're going to have a positive thinking outlook and manifest reality, and get out of here, stop that. When I was a little kid, my dad had a copy, my mom and dad had a copy of Norman Vincent Peale's book. I read that, I was about maybe 9, and I pegged this dude. I said, he's a fraud. And I wasn't a Christian. I didn't even like Jesus. Heck with being in love with him, forget that. But now I am. I mean, now I just love Jesus. This guy is so good. He's just off the scale. So anyway, yesterday I took off and went to the Hill of the Wilderness. Well, I went up to Lake Roberts, and you probably never heard of Lake Roberts. And in any other state of the Union, it might be called XYZ Pond. But up here it's called a lake. Beautiful green country up there, a lot of pine trees and whatnot, and just so much life and color, and get away from all that steel and concrete and stuff, and listen to the sound of water and the sound of air through the trees, and kind of connect back to what real power is, you know, really like. I mean, as our Maker, you know, demonstrates it day by day. He is the spirit of power. He is the spirit of truth. He is the spirit of integrity. He is the spirit of Jesus Christ. He is the spirit of God. He is the spirit who is holy, holy, holy. Got to say that 3 times. I've had this idea in my mind lately, and I guess I'll talk about it. You know, the world's falling apart. People are going batshit crazy, and we're ending up with all kinds of problems, which never should have arisen in the first place. Thank you very much, Poodle. But what people want is they want hope, and I've been just grieving in my heart that this world herself, the world you know, the dirt. Look down on the dirt where the rocks are and the water flows through. The earth you live on, he owns it, he built it, and he will unmake it in fire. As far as we can tell, the heavens and the earth pass away in a tremendous, you know, you think of the Maui fires, you know, you get 100-mile-an-hour winds. Well, forget that. We got 10,000-mile-an-hour winds or something like that. And the fire rages through all that is evil. He burns down in person on purpose because they are corrupt. I so love the doctrine of the last judgment. There comes a day when all this comes to an end. You know what? I might die, and people think, well, that old fraud, you know, thank God we're done with him, you know, whatever. It's fine with me. But in other words, whether you're experienced justice in your life or not, and let's face it, for a lot of black folk, for a lot of American Indians, for a lot of Asians, really, if you're here in America, you have not experienced fairness. You have not experienced welcome. You've experienced a kind of a bias, as if you're just not good enough. Guess what? Nobody's good enough. But the way it works is, he doesn't get lined up, the king, I mean, with what we would call our transient issues down here of, you know, incurring or inherent racism. But we do admit as humans, as Christians really, we did the Native Americans wrong. We lied. And we killed their people when we shouldn't have. It just ain't right the way we treated the folk here who ran across this country on foot. There were no horses. The horses didn't show up till the Spaniards came up. I guess it was that the 1500s? Maybe the late 1400s. I can't remember when the Spaniards showed up, you know, down south of us here. The natives never had horses. they would pick them up and put them down on foot, 40 and 50 miles a day, nothing to it. These guys, I mean, they were something else, as warriors, as champions. And yet, the situation in our time is far worse than whatever the Americans or the Mexican, nationals later on, or the Bolivians or the Brazilians, whatever, did to their native folks. The native folks have dropped down. If you ever go down to Mexico, the darker your skin and the closer your name sounds to Indian, the Guatemoc, as an example, the Guatemoc tribe, I mean, these people, it's just chronic racism. And the more Indian you got in you, rather than Spaniard, because let's face it, all of Mexico is mestizo, a mixture between white European Spaniards and brown Native Americans. That's the result we call mestizo. That is Mexico. And it's, it's here in New Mexico as well, and I welcome it. I mean, I think it's a great mix. But the idea is that when we're dealing with people, we understand that there have been long, hard, old hurts which have never been addressed. The way we treated, the Mexicans, the way we treat the Mexicans today, the way we treat the natives today, all that stuff is a fodder, and you can use it if you want, and of course the left always does and always shall, because she doesn't have a central position. The central position of Jesus Christ, the righteous, is give God glory and admit his lordship in your life, and you will flourish. Fight him on that, and you will lose. He can never be disproven on that. It's incredible, and it's so good, and it's so heartwarming, and kind of wakes you up, makes you feel glad. So anyway, I went up by Lake Roberts last night, and then I found this little parking area, wasn't even a quarter mile away, and I just pulled over, and it says no, let's just say daytime use only, daytime use only. I thought, well, does use consist of me parking in the lot and sleeping in my truck? So I tried to sleep in my truck last night. That didn't really work out too well. By the way, I don't do well on buses or trains or trucks, or I can't sleep in a vehicle, in a chair. I don't know. Some people can sleep like that, and I really admire them. I wish I could just voluntarily tell myself, go to sleep now, and I'd make it work. But I've heard that GIs can sleep standing up. Now that's an impressive skill. And I just wanted to talk to you tonight a little bit about when you talk to somebody, a young wholesome lady who's concerned about the destruction of the land and concerned about the destruction of righteousness in the schools and everywhere else, and she wants to know, will you be willing to sign a petition? Hell yes. Hell yes, I'll sign that. In fact, I'll forge my own signature if you want me to. I don't know what the point of that would be. But you got to get involved. You got to put your foot down somewhere, as a man, as a woman, a mom, a dad, and your cousin, a sister, a brother, I don't care. Somehow you're connected to somebody who's getting hurt right now by this evil so-called administration. The administration, which does not care for the Constitution of the United States. The administration, which does not cohere with federal regulations. The administration, which is apparently what? Above criticism? I say no. They're not only above, they're below reproach. They are despicable. They're devilish. This is an outbreak of demonic force. And the church needs to rise up and learn to war against these spirits. And she won't, and she can't. And yet she shall, because the Lord Jesus, he's faithful. His children shall indeed shine. So you shine tonight. Say a prayer for the people in China, Christian brothers and sisters, undergoing fantastic problems because of their wildly, incredibly wrong assessment that Jesus Christ really is God, and that he really has busted out of death. He did it, man. He's alive and well, and he makes all the difference. Him in you and you in him, that's where it's at, man. You have a friend who sticks closer than a brother. That'd be the Nazarene, the King. I want to introduce you to him if I could, but I'm afraid he's going to have to introduce himself. But he does it. He's capturing hearts, he's capturing territory, he's capturing minds around the world right now, because his gospel, his good news is so good that even the hardest of the hard can begin to understand that even if the whole world perishes, even if there's nothing at all about me that's salvageable as so-called a good person, he yet saves to the uttermost for his own glory by a power beyond me. I didn't volunteer for this. He captured my heart too. He captured me, he captured my heart. It's not that different. The thing I want to say is there's three who's one. There's one who is three. There's not three gods, there's only one. Yahweh. And Jesus Christ is God. And the Spirit is God. And the Father is the God and Father of us all. There's not three gods. And you were made in his image. There's a three and a one in you. Go find it. You'll flourish. Peace.